With LeBron James winning the 4th championship of his NBA career, the greatest of all time conversation is heated up once again. Sure, one ring isn't the difference between the best and the second best player ever, but it does help LeBron's case in the GOAT conversation. James said in 2016 during an interview with Sports Illustrated, "The GOAT played in Chicago." But how much closer is LeBron today to that legendary Chicago Ghost that wore the number 23? Where does he stand in the GOAT conversation? Does he have enough yet to lay claim to that title? Join us now as we discuss whether LeBron James has taken Michael Jordan's place as the greatest basketball player of all time. For starters, the whole GOAT debate and conversation is always a controversial topic, especially because every player in the discussion is from a different era. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, everybody played at a different time and in a different league. And due to that, there's not an even playing field to make comparisons. Jordan himself said it when asked about LeBron. "We play in different eras. He's an unbelievable player. He's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. I know it's a natural tendency to compare eras to eras. It's going to continue to happen." Jordan continued to praise LeBron and what he's done in today's era, saying, "I'm a fan of his. I love watching him play. But as you can see, our league is starting to expand on very talented players. I think he's made his mark. He'll continue to do so over a period of time. But when you start the comparisons, I think it is what it is. It's just a stand-up measurement. I take it with a grain of salt. He's a heck of a basketball player, without a doubt." LeBron echoed a similar sentiment, saying it's very hard to make comparisons. "My career's totally different than Michael Jordan's. What I've gone through is totally different than what he went through. What he did was unbelievable. I watched it unfold. I looked up to him so much. The difference between both is that Jordan already retired, and his legacy is set in stone. James, however, is still playing at the highest level and continue to pile up on his list of accolades and accomplishments. Also, it's clear he knows he belongs in the GOAT convo. I think it's cool to put myself in position to be one of those great players," said James. "But if I could ever put myself in position to be the greatest player, that would be something extraordinary." The first thing when comparing players is head-to-head matchups in NBA games. Unfortunately, and perhaps the single biggest reason why it's hard to make an accurate comparison is because James and Jordan never faced each other in an NBA court. Jordan retired after the 2002-2003 season, and LeBron James debuted a couple of months after being drafted first overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2003. The only time LeBron and MJ shared the court was during a 2001 scrimmage between several NBA players and some future prospects, one of them being James. James was only 16 when he met the 38-year-old Jordan. "It was godly," James said about the first encounter with Jordan. "I've said that over and over before, but that's what I felt like as a 16-year-old kid when I met MJ. Sadly, there's no tape available from that scrimmage to this day, and you can bet most NBA fans would pay hundreds to have a chance to watch how they fared against each other that one time. Word has it, James did pretty well. Not necessarily matched up against Jordan every time, but that he had a nice outing in the scrimmage." Meta World Peace, who was another one of the players present in the scrimmage, commented on the occasion. "LeBron was nice. At 15 years old, he was killing it. But nobody could give MJ a run for his money at that age. MJ would have averaged 35 if I didn't break his ribs. He averaged 25 and he had to sit out 3 months because he had to recover. People forget he averaged 25 at 38 years old. But LeBron was definitely killing it, I remember. He was big and strong and they couldn't guard him." So given it's impossible to compare head-to-head stats and there's no footage from that 2001 encounter, let's take a look at both of their career accolades and each case as to the GOAT title. But before we do, we'd like to thank you for watching today's video. And if you're enjoying it thus far, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing NBA content. First, let's look at the regular season averages. In 1,072 games, Jordan averaged 30.1 points, 6.2 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 2.3 steals, and 0.8 blocks, with 2.7 turnovers per game on 49.7% shooting from the field, on 22.9 field goals per game, and 32.7% from three-point range on 1.7 attempts per game. In 1,265 games, LeBron is averaging 27.1 points, 7.4 rebounds, 7.4 assists, 1.6 steals, and 0.8 blocks with 3.5 turnovers per game on 50.4% shooting from the field on 19.6 field goals per game, and 34.4% from three-point land on 4.3 attempts per game. These stats paint a clear picture. Jordan was a two-way scoring machine, and LeBron is a do-it-all point forward. It's also worth noting Jordan was primarily a shooting guard, and James is primarily a forward. Both played most of their careers in the Eastern Conference, which is widely considered the worst conference historically, so the playing field is even in that department. When you look at overall playoff numbers, LeBron James has already passed Jordan in pretty much every category. This can in part be attributed to LeBron's longer career and characteristically longer playoff runs. Given he's made the postseason 14 out of 17 seasons and gone all the way to the NBA Finals a stunning 10 times. A young James managed to turn his mediocre Cavs team into consistent playoff contenders from a very young age and with very little help, never losing in the first round. As opposed to Jordan, who even when putting up amazing stat lines since early on in his career, struggled to get his team over due to its lack of talent. Looking at NBA Finals numbers, Michael Jordan has the edge with 6 championships to LeBron's 4. Jordan also won Finals MVP with each of his rings, and so did LeBron. So the counter is 6-4 there too. In fact, Jordan and LeBron are the only 2 players with 4+ Finals MVP in NBA history. Their records at NBA Finals are 6-0 and 4-6 respectively. And this is a conversation that divides the fan base. What's greater, getting to the finals 6 times and never losing, or getting to the finals 10 times and winning 4? And here's where a lot of mixed opinions come in, as some say MJ personifies perfection, and that's why he's the GOAT, while others say LeBron's finals opponents were some of the best teams ever, and James's own supporting casts were never as good. So the fact James almost single-handedly guided his teams to the finals in those seasons is another example of greatness. Then there's the super team argument, which uses LeBron's move to Miami as a way to discredit his success, as opposed to Jordan, who reached the glory with the same team that drafted him. There's a certain romantic part to that story, as winning multiple championships with your longtime team is a dream come true. But in all fairness, Jordan didn't have any less help than LeBron did at several points of his career. MJ had Scottie Pippen, whose contributions might still go underrated to this day, as much as LeBron has had Dwayne Wade and now Anthony Davis. The role players surrounding Jordan and the Bulls have also been as instrumental as those surrounding James in his multiple finals-bound teams. Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, John Paxson, Ron Harper, Horace Grant, and Tony Kukoc are some examples of the quality players Jordan had by his side. Super teams were a thing long before James went to Miami, as the 2004 Lakers that had Kobe and Shaq and added Gary Payton and Karl Malone later in their careers, and the 2008 Celtics that put together a squad of Rondo, Allen, Pierce, and Garnett had already created super talented squads via free agency and the trade market. None of the facts we've seen should be used against the other player. Actually, each is deserving of their own merits because both have managed to deliver very impressive performances consistently throughout their careers, and they both deserve to be celebrated. Whether James has taken Jordan's place as the GOAT is something that can't be firmly determined, but his accolades are there, and it's fair to say he's at least thrown his name into the discussion. These are the 2 best players that we've seen on a basketball court, no doubt. Saying one is better isn't an insult to the other, since everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But we can all rest assured that, regardless of who people choose as their GOAT, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, there's no wrong answer because both have careers to back up that huge title. Who do you think is the GOAT? Let us know in the comments down below, and as always, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel.